They say there's an old, disturbing legend about this forest that has haunted our village for generations. The elders called it the pine forest that breathes. Not because of the ancient trees that tower here, their branches reaching toward a sky they can never quite touch, but because something lives between them. Something without form, without body, just presence. The kind of presence you feel crawling across your skin like invisible fingers, the kind that makes your hair stand on end even when there's no breeze to move it. Some people swore they saw a shadow in these thickets, a shadow that had no shape, no definition, no edges where darkness should end and light should begin. But it moved. God help them. It moved with purpose between the trees, sliding from trunk to trunk like oil spreading across water. Others claimed that at night, they heard heavy footsteps following them through the undergrowth. Not the light padding of deer or the scurrying of smaller animals. Heavy, deliberate, the kind of footsteps that suggest weight and intention. But whenever they spun around, their hearts hammering against their ribs, there was nothing. Just the empty darkness between the pines and the sound of their own ragged breathing. The men of the village, back in those days when pride meant more than caution, took up their rifles and hunting knives. They combed through the forest in groups, their boots crushing the carpet of pine needles, their voices echoing false bravery into the green twilight beneath the canopy. Deep in the woods they found tracks. Strange tracks pressed into the soft earth near a rotting log. They weren't like anything that should exist in these forests. The impressions suggested something that moved, but not on legs. Not in any way that made sense to men who had hunted these woods their entire lives. When they returned the next day with more men and rope to mark the area, the place was clean, pristine, as if a heavy rain had washed through and scrubbed away every trace of what they'd seen. No tracks, no scent, not even the disturbed earth where they'd knelt to examine the prints. The forest floor was smooth, almost deliberately so. Some of them ran their hands over the ground, disbelieving, their fingers searching for any depression, any sign. Nothing. "It's playing with us," they whispered in the tavern that night, their voices low, their eyes darting to the windows where darkness pressed against the glass. Some laughed nervously, the sound too loud in the quiet room. Some said nothing at all, just stared into their drinks with the hollow eyes of men who've seen something that shouldn't be seen. And some never went back into those woods. Not ever. Not even in broad daylight with the sun high overhead. Now, as I walk through this old pine forest, I feel exactly what those old stories described. The sensation wraps around me like a cold, damp cloth, pressing against my chest until each breath feels like work. The forest is quieter than it should be. Far too quiet. There are no birds singing in the branches above. No squirrels chattering warnings to each other. No rustle of mice in the undergrowth. It's as if every living creature has fled this place, or perhaps they know better than to make noise here. The silence is so complete it seems to have texture, like something I could reach out and touch. The air stands thick and heavy, refusing to move. Even the wind seems to avoid this place, flowing around it rather than through it. Only occasionally do the branches beneath my feet crack and snap, but not in the normal way. The echo that returns is wrong. It comes back from too far away, from too deep in the forest, as if someone is deliberately repeating my footsteps from a distance, testing them, learning them. When I stop walking, I hear it, that subtle moment of silence that arrives a half-second too late, as if something on my right has also stopped, but needed that extra fraction of time to match my movements. When I start again, a faint rustling emerges from my left, pacing itself to my speed, not quite synchronized, just slightly off like a shadow that moves a moment after you do, like something trying very hard not to fall behind. I've looked between the trees dozens of times now. Each time there's nothing but fog-filled spaces and the dark vertical lines of trunks stretching upward into the gray-green canopy. But my heart knows something my eyes don't. It's beating faster, harder, insistent. The rhythm is wrong, urgent. My body is trying to tell me what my mind refuses to accept. I'm not alone out here. It feels like that same something from the legends knows I've gone deeper than I usually do, deeper than anyone should, and it's watching me turn my head, studying the way I scan the shadows, learning the pattern of my fear. There's a sensation, primitive and undeniable, that something is observing from behind the fallen logs, from beneath the dead lower branches that hang like broken arms, from those places where sunlight has given up trying to reach. The shadows there are too dark. They stay too long. They don't shift and change as the day progresses like shadows should. They just wait. Twigs snap here and there throughout the forest. Quiet cracks that pierce the silence. Sharp, clear. But they're not like animal sounds. Animals move in bursts, in sudden darting movements driven by instinct and fear. These sounds are rhythmic, measured, like someone carefully placing their weight down, pressing whatever passes for a foot or appendage into the earth with deliberate slowness, trying not to reveal themselves completely, but failing, always failing by just that much. The deeper I go, the stronger the feeling becomes that I've been artificially isolated. As if the forest I've known for years has decided to pretend it doesn't recognize me. Like it wants to observe what I'll do when fear really takes hold. Maybe this is exactly what those others felt, the ones who claimed they saw a figure in these pines. A figure shaped almost like a person, but fundamentally wrong in ways they couldn't articulate. They said it stood sideways to them, but there were no shoulders visible. Just a long shadow that seemed to stretch further than physics should allow, and something that might have been a face. A face that caught no light, even on the brightest days. A face that seemed to absorb illumination rather than reflect it. And they all said the same thing. It never moved while they looked at it. It stood perfectly still, more still than any living thing should be able to stand. No breathing, no swaying, no microscopic adjustments of balance. Just absolute, unnatural stillness. But the moment they looked away, even for a second, even for a heartbeat, they could feel it shift. Could sense it adjusting its position. Getting closer, always closer. I catch myself several times deliberately avoiding turning my back to the dark gaps between the trees. Some ancient part of my brain, the part that remembers when humans were prey, is screaming warnings. Cold runs down my spine in waves, each one a little more insistent than the last. I try to rationalize. I tell myself this is just a forest, just old pine trees, just silence. But the silence itself is the problem. Forests should sound alive. They should breathe with wind and movement and the small sounds of 1,000 creatures going about their lives. This place sounds dead, deliberately silenced, as if someone has carefully removed each sound, plucked them out one by one, leaving only my breathing and the crunch of needles and small branches beneath my boots. The legend said this place lives according to its own rules and steals all sound when it emerges from the shadows. So it can hear only you. So it knows exactly where you are in the darkness or the fog. So it can feel your fear like a living thing, feed on it and draw closer with each step you take, mimicking your movements with that slight, terrible delay that lets you know it's there, that lets you know it wants you to know. I stop walking. The silence drops like a curtain, heavy and absolute. My heart is so loud in my ears I'm certain it can be heard for miles. And then, barely audible, almost lost in the ringing silence, comes a crack from deep in the forest. Somewhere beyond that massive fallen tree with its roots torn from the earth like wooden fingers clawing at the sky. The sound is slow, careful, deliberate. One step, not mine. I hold my breath. My muscles lock. Every nerve in my body is straining to hear. Then comes the second step, closer than the first. The sound is slightly wet, as if whatever is walking is pressing into damp earth. Or perhaps it's something else making that moist sound. I don't want to think about what else it could be. A third step follows, closer still. The intervals between steps are perfectly timed, perfectly measured. This isn't something stumbling or searching. This is something that knows exactly where I am. Something that has been tracking me since I entered the forest, perhaps since before I even knew I was being followed. It's as if whatever has been hiding, whatever has been playing its game of shadows and sounds, has finally decided the game is over. Decided that I've gone far enough, stayed long enough, that it's time to stop pretending. My hands are shaking. I can see them trembling in front of me, and I realize I've raised them slightly, instinctively, as if I could ward off whatever is approaching. The temperature seems to have dropped 10 degrees. My breath comes out in visible puffs now, even though it's not that cold. Shouldn't be that cold. The air tastes wrong, metallic and old, like biting down on an ancient coin pulled from poisoned earth. Another step. This one is accompanied by a sound I can't quite identify. A sliding, dragging noise, as if something is being pulled across the ground. Something heavy, something that leaves a trail. The old people's words echo in my mind, louder than my own thoughts. The most important thing, the one rule you must never break, is don't turn around suddenly. Don't let it know you've seen it. Their voices overlap in my memory, urgent and frightened, the voices of people who believed absolutely in what they were saying. Because if what's standing behind you realizes you can see it, if it knows you've acknowledged its existence, then it stops playing. Then it comes out fully. Then it shows you what it really is. I can feel it now. The presence is so strong it's almost physical. It's like standing near a large furnace, except instead of heat, there's cold. Instead of light, there's a darkness that presses against my back, that tries to seep into my skin. The air behind me feels thicker, heavier, as if something is displacing it, taking up space where nothing should be. Another step, closer. I can hear the breath now, or what passes for breath. It's too slow, too deep. The exhalation lasts far too long, like lungs the size of barrels emptying themselves with terrible patience. The sound is wet and rattling, as if something is moving inside that breath, something that shouldn't be there. My legs are screaming at me to run. Every instinct is firing at once, filling my bloodstream with adrenaline, preparing my body for flight. But I know, with the certainty of ancient knowledge passed down through generations, that running is exactly what it wants. Running means I've acknowledged it. Running means the game is over and the hunt begins. So I walk, slowly, steadily, not looking back, not giving in to the overwhelming urge to see what's following me. Each step is agony. Each moment of not knowing is torture. The sound of my own footsteps is nearly drowned out now by the sounds behind me. The heavy, deliberate footfalls, the dragging, the breathing that sounds like wind through a tunnel filled with water. Something brushes against the back of my jacket, just barely, just enough to feel, like fingers testing the fabric, learning its texture, deciding whether to grab hold. Every hair on my body stands up. My skin crawls with the sensation of being touched by something that shouldn't be able to touch. I walk faster, not running, not yet, just walking with more purpose, more speed. The sounds behind me match my pace exactly now. No more delay, no more pretense. It's given up hiding. It's given up the game. Whatever it is, it's decided this is the moment. The edge of the forest is ahead. I can see it. The place where the thick darkness of the pines gives way to open field, where sunlight actually reaches the ground instead of being filtered through layers of needles and branches, where normal sounds exist, where I'll be safe, maybe, but the distance seems wrong. It looks close but feels far. The forest is playing tricks with perspective, stretching the space between me and salvation. Or perhaps that's just my fear, warping my perception, making seconds feel like hours. The breathing behind me grows louder. The footsteps quicken. I can hear branches snapping now, as if it's no longer trying to be quiet, as if stealth no longer matters, as if it's made its decision. I'm walking as fast as I can without breaking into a run. My legs are burning. My lungs are screaming. The urge to look back is almost unbearable. My neck muscles are cramping from the effort of keeping my head forward. But I don't look. I won't look, because the old people's warning rings in my ears like church bells. Don't turn around suddenly. Don't let it know you've seen it. The forest edge is closer now. 20 meters. 15. I can see individual blades of grass bending in the breeze beyond the tree line. Normal grass. Normal wind. The real world, where things make sense and shadows obey the laws of light. 10 meters. The presence behind me is so strong now it's like walking with someone pressed against my back. I can feel the cold radiating from it, can smell something ancient and wrong, like earth from a grave that's been opened after too many years. 5 meters. The breathing is right behind my ear now. Right there. If I turned my head even slightly, I would see. I would know. But I don't. I won't. 3 meters. Something touches my shoulder. Firmly this time. No longer testing. Claiming. The cold of it burns through my jacket, through my shirt, into my skin. I can feel it spreading like ice water through my veins. 1 meter. I step out of the forest and into the sunlight. The warmth hits me like a physical blow. The presence releases me instantly, as if the light itself has severed its grip. The sounds stop. The breathing stops. The footsteps stop. Everything stops. I stand there in the open field under the sun, gasping for breath. My whole body is shaking. Sweat is pouring down my face despite the cold that's still clinging to my bones. I want to look back. Part of me needs to look back, to see if anything is there, to confirm or deny what I felt. But I remember the old people's final warning, the one they always said at the end, with their eyes wide and their voices dropping to whispers. And if you do make it out, if you do get away, never look back at the tree line, because it'll be standing there, right at the edge where the shadow meets the light. And if you see it then, if you meet its eyes even once, it'll know where you live. It'll know how to find you. And next time, you won't be walking through the forest. The forest will come to you. So I don't look back. I turn away from the tree line and walk toward my village. I can feel it watching me go. I can feel its gaze on my back like a physical weight. But I don't look back. I don't look back. I never look back. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind moves through the trees near my house, I hear footsteps. Heavy ones, deliberate ones, getting closer. And I remember that touch on my shoulder. That cold, claiming touch. And I wonder if I really got away after all. Or if it's just taking its time, playing a longer game, waiting for the right moment to finish what it started in those dark pines where silence lives and shadows breathe.